Choosing is the natural thing to do. Yes, choosing what you want to be, what you want to do, choosing a responsibility, choosing how and who you share your time with. The natural thing to do is choose where you want to live, choose your friends, choose what you like and what you don't. Live without worries. The natural thing to do is choose a mortgage to live by and not to live for.
Feel the natural inside.
You see, mortgages to live.
It's your time.
Okay, hello, good evening. Can you hear me? Yes.
Yes.
Okay, welcome to the first edition of Inmociónate in English. We've got a great show lined up for you this afternoon that we hope you enjoy. My name is Dylan Boyle, and it's my pleasure to present you to our participants that we have with us this evening. We have with us the Vice President of Business Development from Urban Data Analytics, Mr. Nils, SCEERY, the CEO of Ideal Homes Portugal, Mr. Chris White, founding partner of Coldwell Banker Spain and Andorra, Mr. François, sorry about my pronunciation there, and the founder and director of Hamilton Homes, Mr. Andrew Hamilton. The name gives it away that he may be the founder. And we also have with us Erol, GOODCHILD from SIRA CRS, who's going to chat with us a little bit also later on, okay? To give you a very brief outline of the program, firstly, Nils is going to give us a brief presentation of an innovative tool that may be of help to you and to your clients, okay? And then we'll move on to a roundtable discussion of international buyers in Iberia in this new environment. And finally, some insights into CRS. Please remember that if you've got any questions, you can send them there at the bottom of the screen where it says questions. Don't mix it up with the chat so that we find the questions and then we can answer them by any member of the panel later on in the show, or any other suggestions that you may have also would be greatly appreciated. So to begin, Nils, the floor is yours.
Sure. First and foremost, I hope everybody's safe, and a big thank you to Dylan and the UCI team. One of the things that we've really seen from an urban data analytics point of view throughout the crisis is how important communication is. Wanted to talk to you guys all briefly today about how technology can be a positive force when we come out of COVID-19. There's going to be a huge amount of uncertainty around how real estate markets reprice. And what we've done from an urban data analytics perspective is we're trying to really harness big data and use that as a force to kind of inform either agents, funds, or buyers about realistic expectations for house prices. For some of those, for some of you who are on this call today, I think the best comparables will be what some of the online syndicators are doing in the US market or in the UK market. So I like to use the example of a Trulia or a Zillow.com. And really where kind of, Anglo-Saxon markets have been quite well advanced is in terms of showing either buyers or sellers what big data can, how big data can instruct them around expected home prices. So just to, and hopefully I don't mess this up technologically, but share screen. And here we go. So listen, we've developed an application or software called Pulse. What Pulse does is it helps to do anything which is related to valuations or real estate analytics. And hopefully I can move to the next page. Just a quick overview of what is Pulse. It's a real estate data platform that provides management, market analysis, and market expectations all instantly. And so what we do, or what the urban data analytics team does, is they harness kind of big data, AI, and they use that to really kind of inform forecasting and precision-based modeling around real estate prices. And I think why this is really going to be important when we come out of COVID-19 is because for a lot of people, already when you think about buying or selling a real estate asset, there's a huge emotional component. And when we get out of this, there are going to be people who are going to be selling houses because they're in a position of duress. Maybe they've lost loved ones. There are other people who are going to be coming in and trying to buy their first homes, etc. And what we try and do from UDA's perspective is we try and empower the brokerage community and other agents to really be able to look at their clients and say, yes, there is a human element, and there's definitely a huge value add in terms of individuals' ability to understand local market environments. but there's also a technological overlay of, hey, when I go and I look at the comparables in the neighborhood, this is what it tells me. This is what the recent transactions look like in this neighborhood. And if it gives you comfort, this is what you can best compare your home and your asset to. And so to give you an overview of kind of what we do, you know, I like to say information, insight, and innovation. So we create value reports or property reports for different individual assets. So if you take this asset, right, which is in Plaza de Santa Barbara in Madrid, what it'll do is it'll do a breakdown of the type of asset, the basics of it. And a lot of this also, so what we do is we pull from cadastral references. And we're doing, our data comes from over 40 different sources. We also have agreements in place with notaries, with other kind of credit providers, et cetera. We also have relationships and partnerships in place with all of the major online syndicators. And so what you can do is you can take a cadastral reference number, plug it into the system, and it will give you instantly kind of an expectation or what the valuation for that property is. Breaking it down and taking it to the next level, you know, and this is where the US or the UK markets have really been advanced in this. It also helps you kind of understand socio-demographics. What does the population look like in the neighborhood? How many people per household? You know, ideally what I'd like to see is trying to develop this tool to also include things around school systems, et cetera, transportation. But right now, you know, it will give you an idea of number of dwelling transactions which have happened in the neighborhood, the registered dwellings, the absorption rates, the listed stocks, and also financials. And I think realistically, I mean, why I wanted to connect with you guys today is just because we definitely don't see this, like, there's certainly the human element and the on the ground market knowledge. And that, I think that there's no replacement for that. But what this is meant or intended to do is really kind of supplement or reinforce the communication channels that agents and brokers can have with their clients or their investor base. In a post-COVID world, and you know, depends on how you read the news, and there are going to be people who are looking for bargain buys and people who are retaining to pre-COVID-19 prices. There's going to be a huge amount of uncertainty as to where the market should reprice. If you read the news, if it's El Confidencial, if it's other kind of real estate focused publications, they can range anywhere from 5% decreases in prices to 25% plus. The reality is there's so few transactions going on right now that nobody knows. But what can really help, and particularly for the English and the English focused brokers on this call or this panel or on this webinar today, is using data analytics like this is definitely going to be something that the UK, US buyers understand, and something which they've come to adapt as almost being par for the course in kind of property when they look to buy property. And so, you know, as much as it can be used as a positive tool for positive change and to reinforce the brokerage community, what we're looking to do is kind of partner UDA Pulse with different agents, et cetera, and really allow this to kind of act as an extra arrow in the quiver when you go and you try and present to potential clients or potential home sellers. There were a couple of different videos that we had as well. I think that the best thing to do is if you have questions about the platform, et cetera, please reach out either to myself, either by email or by LinkedIn, or Alberto Santos, who runs our UDA Pulse product. We also focus on a broader range of products as well, but it's more tailored to, you know, kind of some of the funds which come in and buy large portfolios of real estate, et cetera.
Okay, thank you very much. We've got one question as well already, but we're going to keep them till the end. Okay, I've also got a question come through WhatsApp for some reason rather than on here, but we'll bring these questions to you at the end. Thanks for that. I'm understanding there as well that you find that this is useful, not like for estate agents, not just for the buyer, also for the seller. The seller generally thinks their property is worth this amount, the buyer maybe this amount, the appraiser, God knows what his value is going to be. And
well, I like to use the example of when I went and tried to start renting my property in Madrid, right? And so you walk in and you start looking, my tenant had actually tried to previously sell the property. And I think the market in 2019, Spanish real estate, it's become a very hot and trendy real estate market, right? You can even see some of the big funds pouring investments into Barcelona or Madrid. And that will get a dislocation of price expectations. Mm-hmm. And I think what it can be used for is, you know, I'm sure that there are conversations that people have where they go in and they talk to a potential seller. And the seller says, oh, my house is worth 2 million euros. And you're stuck there in conversation saying, like, I want to win this transaction. I'm the best agent for this transaction in this market, but I really need to educate this individual that their house is not worth 2 million. And I think one of the things that the US or the UK models do really well is when you substantiate something through data and you're able to look at them and say, hey, listen, my view is this is a beautiful property. It's probably worth 1.7 to 1.8. And what I want to do is I want to show you kind of some of the other analytics that we can look at so that you can also see, it's not just me telling you this, and everybody likes the catchy phrase, big data, but it's also, you know, big data AI that's instructing you on when it scrapes from 30, 40, 50 comparables in the neighborhood, that, yeah, maybe you have this one anecdotal story about some cousin of a cousin that sold a house for 2 million, but realistically speaking, let's look at the comparables in your neighborhood. Let's look at where they're listed.
And it could work the other way around too. The client could be like, no, I want to buy it for 1.3 million. And you can also prove to them, but that's really not the value. It's kind of like for the UK client, it's more of a Zoopla thing because the US tools maybe are less known here in Europe, but we...
Exactly. And what we try and say is, I mean, we're trying to let the data speak. And I think what you do is you let the data speak and then you really supplement it with, and this is where it's like the crucial element of the individual component as well, where you have somebody who goes in and says, hey, in this particular area, I'm the leading real estate agent. But allow me to also supplement you and tell, like, and validate my thesis through the use of big data.
Yeah, it's not just my opinion or my experience. It's bigger than that. That's why it's big data.
And for those who have clients who are focused kind of, or who are accustomed to UK or US markets, I think there's going to be a lot, like there'll be very easy adoption of this kind of tool because it's platforms that they're familiar with and platforms that they know. Okay,
excellent. Well, thank you very much, Nils, for your time. Very interesting. And I'm going to move on to the round table, okay? We all agree right now, I think, that things are definitely changing. We all know that in the last few weeks. I've got myself a slight obsession that I want to explore with you all today about a new potential international buyer emerging now that remote working is becoming the norm, and is going to probably continue to be the norm for many people. We've all heard about searches being on the up in Spain for properties with outdoor spaces, properties with a garden, with a patio, with a terrace. And this makes sense. I mean, why wouldn't anybody that can relocate from maybe a cold, damp environment like my country, like Wales, why wouldn't they want to be somewhere with a garden, with a pool, in a villa in the south of Spain, in Portugal? And it's a real possibility. I mean, 10 years back, nobody thought that they needed a smartphone. Now, all of you have got young people living with them, well, or anybody our age, or even my parents' age, we all need a smartphone. It wasn't something we needed in the past. Maybe now these people that can relocate, they don't know it yet, but they need to relocate to the south of Spain. They need to relocate to the Algarve or to anywhere that's got nice warm temperatures. And if and when we have another lockdown, which is what people are talking about a lot now, people are worried about what's going to happen in the next lockdown. That's why they're looking for this kind of property. How do we get through to these people now and maybe even connect with, not with our traditional non-resident market, with a whole new one? So let's take a little look at this possibility. We're going to be talking with Chris, with François and Andrew that I presented at the beginning. I don't know, who'd like to go first? Maybe Chris. Pera, we need people on the screen. Hello. There, we have Chris. Hi, Chris.
Hi, how's it going? You okay?
Good. How are you doing?
Very good, very good.
You've got behind you, you've got an outdoor space like the ones we were just talking about, right?
I do.
You do, yeah.
We're quite lucky. You know, we've got quite a lot of outdoor space, and the lockdown hasn't affected us massively. So yeah, so it's nice over here. But I get what you're saying. I mean, we're speaking to probably 3 different types of clients at the moment, and we're speaking to clients who are just saying, look, let's put this on pause. And then the other 2 type of clients are either people coming to retire or make the move and move their business online, which is what we're seeing everybody doing. I mean, if you're not virtual now, then your doors are closed. And I really see that we're going to go through the digital nomad era, where people don't have to travel into London, they can work remotely, spend some more time in the sun. And it comes down to having that quality time. And I think that's what people need.
And you're talking about that. You're talking about people that will continue with the same job they were doing before, let's say, but rather than do it from Manchester or from London or from whatever, they can just be doing it in the Algarve, in the Costa del Sol, in Barcelona, wherever they want to be doing it.
Yeah, yeah.
And you're seeing this already.
Yeah, we're seeing this already. I've got a bit of an example, which is my older brother's a school teacher down in Cornwall. He's a science teacher, and he's on lockdown. He's carried on with his classes, and he's also taken on some extra work for the local school out here in the Algarve. And he's actually doing 3D lessons, so virtual reality lessons. So he's one step ahead of everybody else. So he logs into his Zoom, and people can see him, and he's doing his classes that way. And it's been a huge hit with the kids. And I can really see that things like that is definitely in the future.
I wasn't even imagining that kind of job. I mean, like you imagine that a teacher or a doctor, and they have to be in the place. Okay, doctors and nurses. Well, no, also they're working virtually now as well, giving, who knows how many of us will be able to work virtually in the future. It's true. And even just today, there was news from Idealista, which are in both Portugal, where you are, and Spain, that the number of foreign buyers looking is actually increasing now. There's a higher share than there was before. That was today published.
Yeah, I'm speaking to, Rightmove on a weekly basis, Place in the Sun on a daily basis, and their web traffic's through the roof because everybody's sat at home. And again, you've got two types of companies that are battling this. You've got companies who have, they don't know how to handle it. They don't know how to move forward. And then you've got companies that are changed, and they're doing virtual tours, video tours, booking the clients in. And I think that's definitely the way to move forward. I mean, before, like the old days, and this is only
2 months ago,
was I would fly, I'd pay for a piece of, an exhibition we was in Manchester in March, pay for a piece of an exhibition, fly everybody across, book all the hotel rooms, then speak to as many clients as possible, and then bring them across. And, there's a lot of expense and everything that goes into that. Whereas now, if we can do things virtually, we're going to cut a lot of costs, speed the process up massively. If we're speaking to a client on a Monday and then saying, look, if you're really interested, we'll book you in for a virtual tour on Wednesday. You be ready to receive a Zoom call or a FaceTime call, and the salesperson on the ground is going to go and show you that property, and they'll give you views of the property, take you around the property for 45 minutes, and then take you on a drive around the local area. That works really well, and it just speeds things up.
Okay, we had in Spanish on one in Inmociónate a few weeks ago. I saw some good. Everyone's a guru now. Everyone's got a lot of information, but saying it was the end of the non-resident market because Brits were going to be too frightened to travel to Spain. And I was thinking, everybody I know is desperate to get on the first plane. You don't think that they're going to be too scared to visit us in Iberia next week or the week after?
No, I mean, we're probably, our lead intake's down, but we're probably speaking to, I would say, 100 people a day. And, most of them people, they want to be out of the cold, in the warmth, near the beach.
Yeah.
If they can bring their business with them, they'll do that.
Yeah.
And they'll be given the opportunity to.
And more people maybe now than before. We've got to get to those people. We've got to make them.
We've got to find them. That's the key.
Let's see if we can bring someone. Andrew, do you have anything to say about this? Pera, let us see him. If we can see Andrew, and we can see also Andrew. I'm even speaking now. I don't know what language I'm speaking. If we can see Andrew and François at the same time, I'd like to hear what Andrew has to say about this at the moment.
Okay. Hi, everyone.
Hello, Andrew.
I would say actually, since last year, we have seen a trend in people relocating, especially from England to Spain, in between, let's say, 30 to 50-year-old brackets, and actually relocating lock, stock and barrel with their kids, basically living in Spain. And the interesting thing is that a lot of them are still working back from the UK. So they've already, the ones that were ahead of the curve where business owners and companies were a little bit more advanced. They've allowed basically people to work from home, and people have said, well, we can go to Spain and work from Spain.
Mm-hmm.
And you've got the technology, you've got voice over IP, you've got the internet. And so basically I saw the trend starting last year, and it was interesting. I'm a bit old school, and for me to have a company and have my employees working together, I would want them working together in the office.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I'd be thinking, oh, they're working at home. How much work are they really doing?
That it seems a lot of CEOs were thinking that before, and you're all shocked now that we're working more than we were before, right?
Indeed, indeed. I mean, I've got a good friend. He runs a big internet marketing company in the UK, and he lives here in Spain. And all of his employees are now working from home. And he said they're more efficient, they're more hardworking, they're making less mistakes. And he's basically saying, okay, going forward, we are going to change the model. I think there's a new normal, and this virus pandemic has kind of like forced us into working with Zoom, working in a whole different way. And I think going forward, definitely I'm going to be speaking to my staff saying, hey, maybe a bit more working from home. I think it's a difficult one unless your company was prepared. Right now, a lot of people are working from their laptop, working from their dining room table with screaming kids in the background. So I think there's going to be a good new market in terms of, like we said, people wanting outside space, but people wanting home office, so that they can have a work environment within the home. But I definitely think there's going to be a big future.
This is great. I mean, I'm really happy that this had started already. You're before me on this curve. I just thought of this as a brilliant idea last week, but it's already happening. That's great. But that's exactly it. I mean, there's so many more people, like you said, they've just started working online, working from home because we had to. It's been fast forward 100 years in 2 weeks. So this market should grow for us now. We've got to find out how to grab this market, how to make sure that these people who maybe don't even think of this as a possibility, and now they're like, okay, I've got to move house anyway. So rather than move from one area of Wales to another, I'll move to the Algarve, I'll move to Spain. I'll have...
Imagine the clients that spend half an hour or an hour commuting in London, on the tube, on the train, and especially now with the virus pandemic and the social distancing, are you really going to want to be stuck on a train, packed commuter? Or can you be living in Spain, living the life, the beach, the outdoors, the lifestyle? And, you know, I'm based down South Spain, so about an hour from Malaga, half an hour from Gibraltar. We've got great international schools. Where I'm based is actually a really small little village, but we've got high-speed internet, we've got fiber, 600 meg, and actually the internet that we've got is even better than where my sister lives in London. So I think there's going to be a lot more people saying, hey, we can live the dream. You know, we're living life. This isn't a dress rehearsal. This is real. We have one life to live. And I think instead of whereby people were thinking, oh, when I retire, I'll move to Spain. Well, now people are saying, actually, we can do it now. We can move to Spain. And, you know, my kids grew up here and they're bilingual. They speak English and Spanish. And actually that education that they've had, they can go out into the job market speaking English and Spanish. It's a fantastic opportunity that they have.
Yeah, I believe, because we have great difficulty finding those people quite often. So I can believe that they will have opportunities. I'll give them a job when they're old enough. Okay, that's no problem. Okay, great. I'd like to hear what François has to say as well about this, and then we can talk about it a little bit more and answer the questions that we've got. François.
Hello, everybody. Do you hear me?
We can hear you. Yes.
Okay, perfect. Well, thanks. First of all, thanks for the invitation. And I mean, yeah, I mean, like every crisis has its opportunities, and today the opportunities to have people at home, working at home, and they realize, the one who didn't realize before, that they could perfectly be somewhere else and work from home, and so they definitely prefer to live, I guess, in a place like Spain with 350 days of sun and warm climate than in Birmingham or whatsoever. one positive point also might be that we've been almost 2 months now without being able to travel, and we have a significant number of people who wanted to visit property, and it's been on hold. In any case, there is no doubt that this crisis is going to affect the price on the short term, but maybe differently depending on which cities. With Qualbanker, we have offices in Madrid, in Barcelona, on the coast, in the Balearic, and we have more fear within our agent and our owner in the Balearic than in the big cities, because we still have we worry about how will we be able to travel, and this is a big issue on the short term. Now it's true that before what happened, all the economics for housing were not bad. We have low stock. We have some good landings. We have some low interest rates. It's all about, like everybody said, how long is gonna last that people can move and there's no activity. So yeah, we there will definitely be some opportunities. 2 months ago, when all started, we saw a little bit hitting in the price. So at the end of the day, if there's an adjustment in the price, I don't think it's going to be bad. But we'll see. As long as there's no liquidity in the market, as long as we have no clients on the street, people cannot do viewings. We can talk about virtual viewing or everything, but
we can talk about this, François, but this is something I want to explore with all of you as well. It's true. Right now, the person cannot visit, but I guess there's a lot of stuff that you guys can do already to like create the appetite. Now that people are stuck in their house in rainy Wales or Birmingham or whatever, when they could be having a glass of white wine at the end of the day by a pool in the coast, somewhere like that, create this thing, give them the information to make them realize. And it's, I don't know how much we need to do it because they're doing it. I mean, this is proven by information from either Alice and things like this.
No, and today we have amazing tools to do it. We have amazing tool to do it.
And then as soon as they can come over, start working from here. And then in the next lockdown, they'll be safe by their pool and they won't have to go back to Birmingham. But we've got to make them see that and know that.
No, I have to say one thing as well to François. Basically, I had a client last year who basically came over on an inspection visit, viewed lots of different urbanizations, and they settled on one urbanization that they really liked. It was Frontline Beach. It was a premium urbanization. But at that moment in time, there were no properties available. So when one property came up, I took a video, sent it to them. They knew the area. They know the urbanization. They know exactly what they were looking for. And they bought the property through the video. I mean, it's a bit of an exception to the rule. I don't think people will be buying property unless they're an investor client. They won't be buying a property over the phone. But those people that know the area, know where they want to live, know the urbanization, those people, why not?
For sure, but your client knew the area. What is important today with this time of uncertainty, because we cannot deny there's a big uncertainty. Our client needs to be led by professional estate agent, and they need to believe the estate agent, and I think we'll all have all the estate agents in Spain a lot to do about this credibility toward our clients. So we must work very hard to make people understand us, or to make people believing us when we say it's a good opportunity and you should buy, and you don't need to make a 50% offer because this won't work. What we are seeing today, yes, there is an increase of people looking at property, but because there's a lot of uncertainty, these people and our client also need need to get some comfort about what's going on in the market, and we need to guide them with real facts and no suposiciones, como decimos en
That's
inglés.
exactly, that's really good, and that's very linked with what Nils was giving us with the urban data analytics tool from before, to give that. But I mean, when we tell people their life will be better sitting by a pool at 5 o'clock in the evening with the sun, having a glass of wine, rather than being in West Wales, where I'm from, then we're telling the truth. I mean, that's there's no manipulation there.
Spain will never lose this attract of
And
good
Portugal.
nightlife. Spain and Portugal, good gastronomy. There's no doubt. And what we're seeing, I mean, people are in their house on the North Country, and what they are doing is browsing property in Spain and Portugal. So there is no doubt there's still a strong interest, and maybe more. What we think the trend today because on the rental we are seeing a change in a little bit in trend, and people are no more looking or searching for as long as they can move this summer for compound, or they are looking for detached property, like you say, with their own pool, and it doesn't need to be very big, but they prefer to be a little bit isolated. And we have an increase of inquiry, Costa Brava and South, for this type of property.
Well, this is it, isn't it? Because like people, of course, people like to predict the future and a property crash, that we don't know exactly what's going to happen in the short term, medium term, long term. But it seems that everyone is more and more and more interested in these properties that have an outside space thing. I mean, who knows? Maybe they're going to get more expensive. We really don't know, do we? Let me ask Chris, because Chris has got also Chris, I was going to ask you, because you've got Spain and Portugal there. I don't know if you've got...
Yeah, so I was going to say, I mean, this is a completely different field to the last credit crisis. This isn't a credit problem. So, I mean, banks are still lending. We've got historically low rates over here. I mean, with UCI over here, we're getting rates at 1.1%. So it's, I mean, what we're seeing is we get a lot of inquiries for long-term rentals, which is a market that's impossible over here. So if someone rents a property out long-term, they pay 28% tax. If they rent out short-term, they only pay 8% tax. So even myself, we rent our house out for 10 weeks in the summer, and that pays the full year's mortgage. And it's persuading people to look at that option. But people are overcoming this. And it was, you know, if you look at some of the articles that are out there, Forbes just did a really big article based on International Living's research. And they were looking at places, not where's the best place to buy a property, it's where's the best place to buy after the virus has ended. And that was they're really hot on this. So I mean, we're getting the message out there that there's really good tax incentives. If someone's set up at the minute in the UK and they're sat in the rain, like the rest of my family, and they can't wait to come back over to the Algarve to see us, is they're paying really high taxes over in the UK. If they come to Portugal, they do a simplified tax regime, which is where you only pay 20% tax. And also the non-habitual residency. If somebody retires over here, they only pay 10% tax on their worldwide income. So there's a lot of incentives that are still out there, but it's just getting the message out there.
And also, just to pick up on something that you said for all of us here about mortgages, they're cheap right now. But unfortunately, people should get them, if they're going to get a fixed rate, get it as quickly as possible, because they really could go up the way it was going now. So like, get that out to your clients too. Let them know now is the time. I mean, the mortgage fixed rate is going to be for 30 years. So whatever happens to the price of a property in that time, and there you're giving honest and true advice to your clients based on what we're seeing. I don't know. Andrew, sorry, go. Chris.
I mean, I was going to say with that, I mean, if the client's got a short-term gain, then that's when it's risky. I mean, if they're going to buy now and hope to sell the property in 2 years, that's when there's a risk.
That's a different market. Yeah.
Yeah, if they've got a 10-year view, a property price is going to increase in 10 years. Well, I mean, nobody knows, but the chances are they will do.
And if they manage to rent it out for the 3 months of the year and it pays for itself anyway, then it's win-win-win. It's not just a win-win, is it?
Yeah.
There's nothing to lose there. And Andrew, finally, how are you thinking of marketing this idea to your clients to create this need? I'm going to ask you, and then I'm going to ask you guys the questions that we've got here for you.
I mean, obviously, in terms of marketing, I think it's a question of, is there a need? Is there a clientele out there? And I think after these last 6 weeks of lockdown, there is going to be a big market whereby people are saying, we can work from home. We were thinking of retiring in Spain, but we don't have to wait until retirement. We can go now. Obviously, depending on the airline industry and how that opens up, that's going to be a big question mark. But effectively, you know, we're very close to the airport. We've got plenty of international flights to the UK and the rest of Europe. And so we're very well serviced. And, you know, recently we had a German client, and he had 3 daughters, teenage daughters. And he was saying, you know, we're going to do an adventure. And I was like, what do you mean? He was like, we're tired of living in Germany with our kids in the city. We are going to move the whole family to Spain. We're going to go on an adventure. We're going to learn the language. We're going to go to a different culture. And they were so excited. The whole family was so excited. And he said, you know, I could wait until my daughters are 18 and they fly the nest and they go off and they do their own thing. And then we could come to Spain, him and his wife. But his wife can commute back to Germany. She's got an online business. And they said, no, let's do it now. Let's go lock, stock and barrel. Obviously, with the coronavirus at the moment, everything's on hold. Nobody knows what's going to happen. But that was their adventure. And I think, you know.
But I really think, like you guys, you all need to be posting everywhere you can on your blogs, on your thing. Every photo you can of a swimming pool with a glass of wine next to it. I mean, we all know what the British client wants. And I think the Dutch I think we all want the same thing. So, I mean, it's like that image now is more than 1,000 words, you know.
Most, I mean, the Costa del Sol and the Algarve, it's the Florida of Europe. And so all of the Northern Europeans and the British, they were coming here on holiday anyway. They know what Spain and Portugal are like. And so I think now it's just that next step to say, okay,
that little nudge to get them to come sooner.
And to come for more time and more permanent.
Well, they'll have to, because there'll be less flights, so they'll have to stay longer. If they've got to choose between staying here longer or staying there longer, I think we can win, right? On that one. We've got a couple of questions here. I think we've kind of answered them. One, thank you. I would like to ask, I don't know if everyone sees the questions or just me. I would like to ask if you're thinking that people can work by remote or remotely. Do you think flat houses in Spain will keep the same price or drop with the coronavirus situation? I want to ask this question regarding the non-resident market, okay? Let's not go into houses in Gijón or in Madrid. That's for a different debate. So for the non-resident market, let's say Algarve, let's say Costa del Sol, maybe Barcelona. Do we think that in the medium term, these property prices are going to go down?
I mean, for me, the first thing that I jumped on, which was about 3 weeks ago, is we carry around about 900 resale properties across the Algarve, and we operate from the Spanish border all the way down to Bilbao. So we tried to contact as many of the 900 people as possible, and we said, do you want to reduce the price? You know, that'll attract people. It'll go on all the portals, and let's move forward with it. And there was not that many. I mean, maybe we was too early. But a lot of them, they don't have big loan-to-value mortgages.
This is interesting, Chris, because in the previous crisis, people generally had 100% loan-to-value mortgages, so the incentive was different. Whereas now, most international buyers, they've got a 50%, 60% loan-to-value, which means they've put hundreds of thousands of euros up and into the purchase. Unless they were in a real dire straits, would they want to sell that?
Yeah, I mean, probably the answer is I think we're a little bit too early to say if that's going to immediately impact. But remember, the last financial crisis, there was an overbuild of properties. And I don't think we've got that now. There was definitely an oversupply. But at the moment, my prediction is you're going to see some people that are forced to sell. Like out of the 900 people, there was one family, unfortunately, they've decided to go their separate ways and get divorced, and they reduced their villa by 50,000 euros. But that's a different scenario, you know, so, and that does happen in everyday life. So I think we're a little bit short to answer that question. We'll know more in another, I would say, month or 2 months. But here, I don't see it really impacting. I mean, we don't have big developments here. So yeah, there's not been an oversupply. I think we're going to see some of the top end developments suffer. So there's some beach apartments in Albufeira that are selling for 1.5 million. I think that's going to slow down. And they've never been a fast seller anyway, because it's not.
It's been a very small segment of most of our markets. I mean, it exists, but they're like two different parallel markets, right? The real luxury and the rest of us, or me anyway. I don't know.
Yeah, I think we're going to see the lower end of the market. I think that's going to be okay. I mean, between the 200 and 400 mark. And I think they're the people that are really motivated to, you know, kind of pack their bags, leave the UK, leave Ireland. We're seeing a lot of Americans coming over here as well. Because because they're scared they're going to get injected with bleach.
I
can't comment on that. But yeah, but
making Portugal great again.
Yeah, they can get the golden visa for Portugal, and if they spend 400,000 in the Algarve, they effectively get a Portuguese passport. So they feel safer with that. So I think that end of the market's going to be propped up with that. So at the moment, I would say there's definitely going to be some sort of price correction, but is it going to be 2%? Is it going to be 25%? Is it even going to increase that end of the market? But it's depending which bit of the market will be affected. Will it be the high end, 2 million, the low end, 100,000, or the mid market? So that's wait.
So Rick, if somebody finds the house that they really want to live in, with a pool, with a glass of wine, waiting for them every evening, why wait?
Why wait? That's the way. Yeah.
Listen, Andrew, François, Chris, thank you very much for your time. I do want to ask 2 questions that we have for Nils before we move on to Erol, and so that we can leave at 5 minutes to 6 as per Pera's request. I remind everyone watching as well, if you speak Spanish, there's another program starting at 6, which you're all welcome to join as well. Just looking at the questions here, I've got a couple. First question is, does Pulse work in other countries, Latin America, Central America? And somebody also asked if it works in the Canary Islands.
So right now, the real kind of benefit of Pulse is the amount of different data streams that we have. And where our application is most sophisticated right now is on the Spanish market. So we use over 40 different data sources, and that kind of works uniformly throughout Spain. So Canary Islands, definitely a place where we'd be able to run quick, speedy analytics. When it comes down to different markets, there are natural synergies with the Portuguese market. So we've made a big push there. We're making a big push into the Italian, into the Greek markets. And then LATAM naturally would probably be an area that we would look at in the future. If you look at kind of the expansion of the CPA team, which is the holding company for UDA and the UDA Pulse team, our headquarters are in Madrid, but we also have offices in Lisbon, Milan, and Athens. And we've just opened up an office in Miami with the idea to focus on Latin America. And we have an office in Sao Paulo. So I think naturally, because of the synergies between those 2 groups, we'll look to expand into LATAM and other geographies. But for right now, Spain, Portugal, Italy, and Greece.
Okay, great. And we've got a really, really long question here. We've got like 17 questions from Julie Kang, who I actually know. Is there any chance of Julie Kang coming in, Pera, and asking the question herself, or shall I read it out? It's very long.
I think I saw the question in the Q&A session.
You did,
which is a really good one, which is, you know, how does this compare to the other kind of applications that provide similar services, right?
Okay, I think so. So answer that one, yeah.
And I think it's kind of to the conversation that we had earlier, Dylan, as well. I mean, you asked me offline. Idealista looks like it provides a similar type of option or a similar type of pricing metric. So what's the difference? And I think here it comes down to the different data streams that you're using and how many different sources you have. Like my argument, you know, naturally anybody would make this argument, but I think our platform is the most robust. When you think about the partnerships that we have, we're speaking with all the major online syndicators and we're aggregating all of that data. We also have partnerships in place with the notaries and also with kind of some consumer credit teams with the idea of constructing as sophisticated a model of an understanding as possible of real estate and credit habits.
Okay. Well, I think that probably answered Julie's question. And I'm getting a private message that somebody's lifted their hand up, but I can't really see that. If somebody's lifted their hand up and they've got a question, better let them in and they can ask the question, so long as it's a nice question. I'm going to give a few seconds for this. And if not, we're going to have to move on to Erol because we have him waiting for us for 55 minutes. And okay, well, if that comes up, we'll come back to it in a minute. Thank you all for the moment. I'm going to ask Erol a couple of questions. I hear a voice. I often hear voices, but no, it could be something else. No, okay. Let's bring Erol in, please, so I can ask a couple of questions to Erol, and then we can come back to see any last questions that we have. Do we have Erol?
Yeah, we got me. And
Erol Goodchild. Good afternoon, Erol. How are you?
Can you see me? Fantastic. Thank you very much, Dylan. Thanks for having me on. Really happy to be part of this first Inmociónate at home. And I'm sure it's going to get better and better. So what have you got to ask me today?
Well, the first thing I wanted you to, I guess most of our people watching today and the panelists know what CRS is, because it's probably more well known to the English-speaking community than even the Spanish one. But tell us, what is CRS in Spain and Portugal? What are you doing?
Very briefly, CRS is the original name. It's the Council of Residential Specialists. It's the largest residential association of real estate agents in the United States. And in 2000 and 2006, UCI, who've always worked through the intermediary in real estate channel, signed an agreement with CRS to bring their cutting edge training and development to Spain, training courses for real estate agents. And that's one of the main activities that we do, and our association with the United States is very strong. We organize a couple of professional trips to the main conventions in the States. One for CRS, which is Celebration, that happens in February every year. And then more recently, in the last 5 years, we've been going to the National Association of Realtors, the NAR, their conference, and we go there in November. So
okay. I think UCI's Inmociónate, which we're doing online now, which is normally done, it was supposed to be done in Benidorm. This is kind of based on Celebration originally, maybe inspired by it?
Yeah, it's we took the idea from Celebration, but I think now I'm not sure of the exact numbers, but I think in terms of size we're quite comparable now.
Excellent.
Unfortunately, this year we had to suspend for obvious reasons our regular Inmociónate. It's a meeting of real estate professionals. We do once a year. It's nearly always in June. We started it off in Madrid. We've had 10 editions. It's been in Madrid for the first few times.
And they have it also in Portugal, right? Both Spain and Portugal.
Correct. Yeah. In Portugal, we've got Imnotech, which is a more technological based event that we organise in Portugal. So the idea of CRS is to bring the cutting edge training development to people. We've created a fantastic community of real estate professionals, and we've got, I'd say, over 1,000 members at the moment.
Okay, this is great, and I'm very happy for you. But now that we can do these courses online, and we're talking CRS, haven't you thought about the possibility sometime in the near medium term of doing these courses in English? I mean, there may be people in both Spain and Portugal interested in doing these courses in English.
I think that's a good question. That's something we've always had in mind. Bear in mind that all of these courses are English in their original language. We've brought them to Spain. We've translated them, and we've adapted them to the local market. So yeah, if the demand is there, would be.
So if I get 150 participants today, and probably 300 next time we do this, to lobby you, will that help me to get
fantastic?
these courses?
Fantastic. Yeah. It's definitely something we could look into, because it's proven that the real estate agent that invests time and money in their training, in developing their relationships, in networking, earns more, and they have a happier life. They organize themselves better.
We're getting answers already. Sue Cox is saying here, yes, it would be fab in English. You've got one person wanting it already. I'm sure there's many more. So
sorry to jump on the conversation, but if any agent want to follow some training in English through Coral Banquet, we'll be very happy to assist them. So
excellent. So
just
a message. We're going to do this now. Let's get some training in English for us all now. This will be excellent.
Thanks, François.
Okay. Okay, we've got 3 minutes literally before Peter throws us off this. So thank you very much, everyone. Does anybody have a last 30-second message they'd like to give to everyone?
Stay well, stay healthy, and let's hope we can get out very soon.
Excellent.
I'll agree to that. Also, be brave. I mean, the first time we did a live webinar to our client, we had 5 of our staff on, and they were all petrified. And I was like,
I've been petrified all day.
Yeah. Well, you have to go first. So yeah, I mean, you have to try new things.
Yeah.
Okay. No, just to echo what.
Oh, sorry. Go on.
Just to echo what Dylan's been saying all day. It is past 5 o'clock. There's sun somewhere, so enjoy a nice glass of wine into the weekend.
Yeah. The one person here that's not selling real estate, and he's selling your properties for you. So if you could get them to finance with me as well, Nils, then that would be like perfect. That will be an all-round pleaser.
And thank you everybody for everything. And I think for like a final thought, I think we can say that will be definitely some interesting opportunity on the short term. So as long as your client can jump on the plane, they definitely need to go to Spain and Portugal to look for this opportunity, because there is no doubt that won't last so long.
Excellent. Thank you all of you. And I want to say to all of you as well, because now we're speaking to each other, we're speaking to real estate agents, we're speaking to between us. But I want you to get that message to all your clients too. I want to be in your web pages somewhere, on first page, just seeing that picture of the glass of wine with the pool in the background.
I love it.
That's all we need to do. And they'll all be looking for something. Okay, thanks very much. I thought that we're going to have difficulty filling 55 minutes up. I can't believe how fast it's gone. I can't believe we don't have any more time now, when we could carry on with this for hours. It's been really interesting. So thank you very much, everyone. Thank you for all the people who attended. Thank you for all the questions.
Everybody.
And Pera, you definitely owe me more than a coffee, a beer or something like that.
Very
because
much.
It's exactly the time that we're supposed to finish. I think Francis has never finished on time.
Dylan, love you so much.
No reason. Dylan, I love you.
Okay, thank you very much.
Guys.